Test, test. Good morning and welcome to the regular Board of County Commissioners meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 9th, and we do begin each of our meetings with an invocation. This morning we have Pastor Monty Mora from Ascent Church. We invite you to stand and join us.
Heavenly Father, we come before you today with gratitude for the opportunity to gather and serve this community. We recognize this morning that true wisdom comes from you in your word. It tells us that if anyone lacks wisdom, that we should ask of God who gives generously to all. Father, we pray for these county commissioners, elected officials, staff members, and community leaders. Grant them wisdom, discernment, integrity, and humility as they consider the matters before them today. Help them to seek what is right, to act with fairness, and to serve with a genuine desire for the well-being of every resident in El Paso County. Your word instructs us to pray for those in authority, so we do that today. We ask that you would guide every decision, every discussion, and every action taken in this chamber today. As Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 reminds us that we would trust in you rather than our own understanding, acknowledging that you in all of our ways, that you will direct our paths. Father, we thank you for the freedom we enjoy and the responsibilities entrusted to these leaders and the privilege of serving our neighbors. We ask you these things in your holy name. Amen.
And Commissioner Nelson, if you'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Item 3.
Item number 3 is staff emergency items, and I'm unaware of any staff emergency items today.
Item 4.
Item number 4 is changes, postponements, and notice of the next meeting. I'm unaware of any changes or postponements to today's agenda, and the next meeting will be Thursday, June 11th at 9 o'clock for land use.
Item 5.
Item number 5 is the consent calendar, including items 5A through 5F5.
Okay, is there anyone here who wishes to speak on an item on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll bring it up here to the dais for any comments or a motion.
I move approval of the consent calendar.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. One last opportunity for any comments from commissioners. Seeing none, we'll call the roll, beginning with Commissioner Weissong.
Aye.
Vice Chair Nelson.
Aye.
Commissioner Applegate.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Item 6.
Item number 6 is the proclamation recognizing Flag Day and the establishment of the United States Army. Corey Applegate, Commissioner, Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And thanks to staff for writing this. It's a proclamation recognizing Flag Day and the establishment of the United States Army. Whereas June 14th is a day of significance. It is both Flag Day and the birthday of the United States Army. Flag Day, observed annually on this day, commemorates the adoption of the United States flag by the Second Continental Congress in 1777. 2 years prior, the Continental Army was formed June 14th, 1775, by the Second Continental Congress as a unified army for the colonies during the American Revolution War, with George Washington appointed as its commander. And whereas we acknowledge the interconnectedness of the American flag and our military, with the flag serving as a powerful symbol of our nation, its values, and the sacrifices of those who serve to protect our freedoms. And whereas the flag plays a central role in local traditions and ceremonies, marking the beginning and end of a duty day with the raising and lowering of the flag during reveille and retreat at Fort Carson, Peterson Space Force Base, Schriever Space Force Base, and other military installations throughout El Paso County. And whereas Reciting the Pledge of Allegiance is standard practice at the start of the El Paso County Board of County Commissioners public meetings as an expression of national strength and unity. And whereas the vision of our flag waving triumphantly over Fort McHenry during the War of 1812 inspired lawyer and amateur poet Francis Scott Key to write a poem which he later became the U.S. national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, the only one worldwide strong inspired by the nation's flag. And whereas our flag has evolved alongside our nation, surviving the greatest tests of our republic and symbolizing the resilience of the American spirit. This year's Flag Day serves as a prelude to our nation's semi-quintennial, reminding us of the struggles and the events that have shaped our country and the steadfast values our flag continues to represent. And whereas, when we raise the flag, stand and salute, or place our hand over our hearts, we recall the fundamental truths upon which this nation was founded, and that we are all created equal, and that our government derives its power from the people. Now, therefore, the El Paso County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims June 14th as Flag Day in El Paso County and encourages citizens to observe with pride and all due ceremony events honoring the American flag and the United States Army, to display the flag, and to celebrate the ideals and principles it represents. Done this 9th day of June 2026, Colorado Springs, Colorado, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, Carrie Geithner, Chair, Lauren Nelson, Vice Chair, Holly Williams, Member, Bill Weishong, Member, and Corey Applegate, Member. Attested to by Steve Sleichner, our County Clerk and Recorder.
I will second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded, and we do have a couple of special guests here today. We'll begin with Chuck Graves from El Paso County Veteran Services.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Charles Graves. I am your Veteran Services Division Manager. Thank you for allowing me to say some words this morning on Flag Day and also on the Army's 251st birthday. And also, thank you for continuously supporting our nation and our militaries with your proclamations. I think that's important for our community and also for our culture. So I'd like to start with saying that, you know, I started my young adult career by raising my right hand and looking at the national flag and reciting an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. But before that, I was in grade school, and I'd put my right hand over my heart, and I'd recite the Pledge of Allegiance. And I didn't really know what that meant. I was just proud to do it. But I did know that it was larger than me, and I had many family members that served in the military. And I know, and I knew at that time that what we have is very special, and that we had to defend it with blood, sweat, and tears, and with the sacrifice of the family members that supported those service members. And so what the flag means to me is it means sacrifice and service. And it means standing up for the men and women that are my left and the right. And when I was in the Navy, that was armies and that was Marines and sailors. Today, that is our fellow citizens, my neighbors, and everybody that walks through our door at Veteran Services. And you know, I think of it as you know, always do the right thing even when nobody's watching. And so essentially, to me, that's what it means to be a veteran, and that's what it means to be an American. And for the members of the Veteran Services Division, it's no different. Anybody that walks through our doors, they feel their trials and their tribulations, and they give every ounce of energy, all their skills, and all the resources that they've been given to help those veterans and to help those family members. And when we can't, and when there's areas where we can't, we're blessed to have partners in the community like Homefront Military Network and Mount Carmel Veterans Center who can pick up the slack. And then on the Army's birthday, Colorado Springs, El Paso County is a large part of the community is made up of veterans in the Army. And the same for the workforce of El Paso County, and it's almost 50% of our Veteran Services Office. So I can tell you that when you honor the Army, you honor them, and they are honored that you're honoring them. And it means a lot to honor the heritage of the Army and what the Army has done for the nation. And so, again, thank you for honoring Flag Day, and thank you for honoring the 251st birthday of the Army. If I can just add for 30 seconds, tomorrow the Veteran Services Division will be hosting the El Paso County Veterans Expo next door at the Pikes Peak Center for the Performing Arts. We'll have over 100 resources for veterans there. They can play booth bingo, so it'll encourage them to go to all the resource tables. We have an opening ceremony with leaders from the Colorado National Guard, the VA, our commissioners as well. And we also have 8 classes throughout the day and presentations. So we're hoping that's going to be a well-attended event to support our veterans. And it's also an official America 250 event and Colorado 150 event. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. And we will move on to the owner of Affordable Flags and Fireworks in Strathmore. Do we have you here today? And I understand you're going to share with us a bit about a special program that you have to help folks upgrade their flags. So I look forward to hearing about that.
Thank you. It's such an honor and a privilege to be here. It's such a monumental year. It's military birthdays, it's the country's birthdays, it's Colorado's 150th birthday too. And we have been honored to serve this community for 37 years. I feel like we supply most of the U.S. flags here in this community, and it's been just wonderful. And we really appreciate being here where our military are honored, our country is respected, and the people are just fantastic, and I appreciate that. And yes, we will be doing a flag swap. It's the day before Flag Day, which is the 13th of June. And it's actually in several locations around Colorado Springs and Pueblo. And you can find the information on the KXRM website under Flag Swap. Thank you again.
Can you give us that web address one more time just so we can make sure that everyone knows where to go to find that information?
Sure, just KXRM TV and look up Flag Swap, and a whole list of locations and times will come up, and we encourage people to come early because they go fast.
So they need to bring their existing flag.
If they have one, it's not necessary. We also take flags all year long for disposal, for proper disposal. I believe the VFW does also.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Okay. I'm going to bring it up here to commissioners for comments. Commissioner Wysong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just as Charles talked about, elementary school, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, the Pledge of Allegiance was always something that was very important to me, in proper care, etiquette, display of the American flag. So I really appreciate our guests here from Affordable Flags talking about swapping out a flag. You don't want one that's torn and ratty. They, a lot of pride in displaying an untarnished flag, and disposal is very important. And there's usually a good ceremony and process where you can retire a flag, which is something that if you haven't seen it or participated, it's pretty impressive. Thank you.
Vice Chair Nelson.
I've just been thinking about why we recognize this day, and it's, to me, more so of what the flag itself represents and the freedom that our country enjoys. And so when I look upon our flag and say the pledge, it's just that reminder of the unique way of life we have in the United States and how we can be free. And as commissioners, I view our role in serving in the government is to protect individual rights and protect those individual freedoms and make sure that government is respecting private property. And I just am grateful for the opportunity to look upon the flag. The slideshow was excellent. Thank you for putting that together, staff. It was really fun to see over the years the transition of how the flag has looked and how we've added states over time and the stars representing those states. And so just thank you for everyone being here today and celebrating with us, and hope you are able to take a second to recognize the freedoms that we cherish in this country.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes, so I really appreciate the American flag, but what I wanted to talk to today was about the birth of the Army, which is also on our Flag Day proclamation, and how thankful I am for my dad who raised me. He served in the Army. His mother had, I believe, 3 of 6 sons, 2 who served in World War II. My dad served in the Korean War. He was lucky he got to be the chef, but he said that day of the Korean armistice where they finally ended the war, he was there on the front line staring a guy across the line with his gun, and he'd never had to shoot a person before in his life. And it was probably one of the worst days of his life. Of course, these are the stories that don't come out until about 2 or 3 years right before they die, because they're so sensitive stories. And I found that most of my family members, actually most military members, don't share the real stories of battle until they get older. But I shouldn't say most, because I don't know that, but I know in my family we didn't. And so it was fascinating to hear those stories when he got older. And so thank you to our Army, thank you to our flag, and I'm sure glad we've made it 250 years.
I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. I'll share a few thoughts, and then we'll let Commissioner Applegate wrap up as our tradition here. I, too, am incredibly grateful to celebrate both of these days here. I think it's very important for us to continue to recognize and celebrate our nation's history, and in particular, these patriotic days that have been set aside. Recently I was traveling and I was going through lots of small towns, and I noticed that they had already put up little banners on their light posts and different things celebrating America 250. They were already putting up all kinds of patriotic displays, and this was back in May. And it was a reminder to me about how the people of America are proud and patriotic of our nation. But in today's society, and when we get into bigger cities, and including our own here, there's hustle and bustle that's not quite the same as some of our small towns. And I haven't noticed quite as many flags this year. And that was a bit of a wake-up call to me that we all have a responsibility to continue to encourage that patriotism in our community. Without that, it will slowly fade away. And we are a strong military community. There is certainly much patriotism still here. But I think this flag swap and other things is a great opportunity to remember that, putting up a flag may not seem like a huge thing to do, but when each of us does it individually, it creates something really big that signals to our community and those around us how proud we are of our country, of our history, and that we are going to continue to fight for what it means to be an American. I cannot let the Army's birthday go by. Most of you know my husband still serves in the Army Reserves today. He is 21 years in, and so I am a proud Army spouse. I know we have a few Marines here, Mr. Schleicher, but today it's all about the Army, and I'm proud of what that branch of the military does. I'm proud of all of our service members, and I think it's incredibly, again, important that we remember. And I always do appreciate 251 years for the Army, 250 for America this year, and just to remember what an integral part of our history military has to be. And sometimes that's not the thing that we want to think about the most. There's a lot of strife and sacrifice that has gone into being able to be America for 250 years, but it is an important part of our history, and we do always want to celebrate and remember that as well. So I appreciate the comments of my fellow commissioners, the freedom that our flag represents. I'm proud every day that we come in this building to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Again, I just encourage all of us, whether it is your kids, your grandkids, your neighbors, find a way to encourage folks to display their patriotism this year, because we're all very busy, we're going about our lives, but it does matter to those around us, especially our children and the next generation, to see the patriotism of our community and be a reminder to them of what it means to celebrate our flag and our military. I also think it's a really cool side note that Flag Day also happens to be our president's birthday, so what an interesting situation that is. Just a really neat thing to celebrate all the way around. And I will turn it over to Commissioner Applegate.
Thank you. We have a summer of celebration ahead of us. 150 years for Colorado, 250 for the nation. Wave those flags high, wave them proud. I hope we hear the Star Spangled Banner. I hope we pledge of allegiance. I hope we stand and just are proud of our patriotism. As for our Army, God bless them. God bless the active duty right now, and God bless those veterans. And stay strong. I mean, continue, because I have a grandfather that he was Army, and he was Greatest Generation. And he went in, he signed up in 1940, and it was ugly, some of the stuff he saw, but he served his country and he was proud of it. And he really was. And that was something that's always stayed with my family through the generations. So, and man, I mean, it's a beautiful day today. So just full of the patriotism.
Okay, with that, I think we are ready to proceed with the vote. So we will begin with Commissioner Wysong.
Aye.
Vice Chair Nelson.
Aye.
Commissioner Applegate.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. We'll take a brief recess for a photograph. I'll call this meeting back to order. And we are on to item 7.
Item number 7 is the proclamation recognizing Elder Abuse Awareness Day 2026. Holly Williams, Commissioner, Board of County Commissioners.
I'd like to move the following proclamation, the proclamation recognizing Elder Abuse Awareness Day 2026. Whereas June 15th has been designated as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day to shine a light on the problems of physical, emotional, and financial abuse of older adults. And whereas the El Paso County Board of Commissioners, the Department of Human Services, and our community partners recognize that senior citizens are valued members of our society. And whereas abuse, neglect, and exploitation inflicted on the vulnerable aging population is a problem that crosses all socioeconomic boundaries. And whereas El Paso County is designated by the state of Colorado as an alternative response pilot county, which aims to enhance family-centered and individualized services, strengthening the support systems of those who are at risk for or experiencing neglect and abuse, as well as driving improvements for the entire state. Whereas combating mistreatment of older adults will improve the quality of life for all senior citizens in El Paso County and will allow them to live as independently as possible and contribute to the life and vibrancy of our county. And whereas we thank our community partners for their contributions in preventing abuse, neglect, and exploitation by developing community-based prevention, awareness, education, and training programs that help stop elder abuse before it happens. Now, therefore, the El Paso County Board of Commissioners recognizes June 15th, 2026 as Elder Abuse Awareness Day in El Paso County and urges all El Paso County citizens to join in celebrating the many and varied contributions and accomplishments of our senior residents on this day and throughout the year. Done this 9th day of June, 2026 at Colorado Springs, Colorado, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, Carrie Geithner, Chair, Lauren Nilsson, Vice Chair, Holly Williams, Member, Bill Weissong, Member, Corey Applegate, Member, and attested to by Steve Schleicher, County Clerk and Recorder.
Second.
Okay, that has been moved and seconded. We have also some guests here today to speak on this proclamation. So I will ask Yesenia Torres with DHS Adult, Family, and Economic Services to come forward at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners, for this opportunity. My name is Yesenia Torres. I am the Division Director for Adult
If
Family.
you could just pull your microphone up a little bit closer to you so we can hear you. Thank you.
Is this better now?
That is a little better, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Again, thank you for the opportunity. Everyone is standing up to support. Let me go back. Yesenia Torres, Department of Human Services. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to introduce Merida Coffey. She's a supervisor with Adult Protective Services and have some words to share.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here today as we stand together in recognition of a community commitment, protecting, supporting, and honoring older adults. I'm Merida Coffey, and I have had the privilege of serving our disability and senior populations in El Paso County for more than 15 years. And if someone were to ask me what this proclamation means to me, my answer would be simple. It means everything. El Paso County citizens matter. Every individual at every age matters. Over the years, I've witnessed firsthand how our seniors have become a growing and often overlooked population. In fact, older adults are the largest marginalized group in the world, and one that every single one of us will likely join someday. In Adult Protection Services, we have the honor of working alongside older adults every day to support their health, safety, and well-being. Our goal is to help adults remain active members in the community. Yet sadly, not a single day passes without a report of abuse, neglect, or exploitation. This is the reality seniors face. I once had a gentleman tell me, when you get to a certain age, no one cares. No one cares what happens to you, you simply do not matter. These words have stayed with me. If his words are true, what would it say about us as a society? Who are we if we allow those who built our community, our state, nation to feel invisible? And who among us would ever say they don't matter? That is why this proclamation is so meaningful. It not only raises public awareness, but it reinforces the importance of reporting cases of abuse, neglect, and strengthens adult protection services, efforts to address physical, emotional, and financial mistreatment. And most importantly, it sends a clear message to every older adult in El Paso County: you matter, we see you, we stand with you, we're here for you. Thank you for your time and your dedication protecting those who are most vulnerable in our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate the work that you all do. I'm going to now bring this up here, unless there's anyone else who would like to speak with the department. No? Okay, then I'm going to bring this up here for comments from commissioners. Vice Chair Nelson.
Thank you for speaking today, and I completely agree that all life is valuable and should be treated with dignity and respect. And it's really important to recognize those in our community that have served and provided for their families and served our community, and now are at a stage of life where they maybe need a little more support. And what an honor to be able to return the favor back to them. And I just would encourage everyone to prioritize family and taking care of family and maybe an elderly neighbor. I also wanted to just bring attention to a program we have in the county that is helping people to age in place, and it's a grant-funded program through our El Paso County Community Development Block Grant, and it is, on our website, the headline is Sustaining the American Dream, and it's a partnership with a nonprofit called Brothers Redevelopment, and this organization will go in and help individuals with their home and adapting to the needs as they age, such as wheelchair or walker access, putting grab bars in showers, removing trip barriers, that sort of thing. And so I just love this program and think it's really valuable to community members that they are able to stay in their homes longer. And so if you have a loved one or know someone in need, you might want to check this program out. You can find more information on our county's website under services and resources under housing. So thank you for being here this morning, and the work that the staff do to support our community with the ugly side of society at times, where people are taking advantage of those who are vulnerable. And so I'm really grateful that we have staff who are able and willing to support our community in this way. It's really hard work, and sometimes you see and hear things that are just nightmarish. And so I'm grateful for the individuals who feel called to serve in this way, and just thank you.
Commissioner Weissong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate you coming today and helping raise the awareness of the elder abuse. And let's just hope that we don't keep getting daily or multiple times a day calls, that we can raise that awareness and try to minimize. So again, thank you for all the work that you guys are doing here.
Commissioner Applegate.
Same thing. I want to thank our DHS department for coming down this morning. I want to thank you for the work you do. You know, I think a lot of us were in this to, you know, as part of one of the reasons why we show up every day is we want to protect the vulnerable. So that's a big part of it too, is protecting our elderly and just making sure they're able to live their lives and able to do things like, you know, like people that are younger than them. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much for everybody for showing up and all the hard work you put in.
I'll just add, again, my gratitude to each and every one of you for showing up, for the work that you do, for the care that you show to our community members, all of you for being here today. I think that this is an important day, and I'm glad that we are bringing awareness so that we can help to protect and know that it's the responsibility of all of us when we see something and we see that abuse, that it's the responsibility of all of us to try and protect our elders. But several things that have been said, it's not just about protecting from abuse. It should be about cherishing our elders. And I think every year when we have done this proclamation, I've said to some extent the same thing, that we as a society need to remember how important these members of our family are. I sometimes think that with technology moving as quickly as it does, we see the younger generation, they're quicker, they're faster, they know how to do all of these things. And I think to some extent, maybe that has made us think that our older generation doesn't have as much to give. And I think that's totally wrong. They have so much wisdom, so much history, so much knowledge of so many things in this world that we can't even, you know, as young people often even have a concept of. And so I just think it's so important to we don't want to just prevent abuse. We want to cherish those people in our lives, take the time to speak with them, hear what they have to say, hear their insights. You just never know what knowledge and wisdom they're going to bestow upon you. So I think it's really about cherishing. I really appreciate your comments about family. I think that is such a big piece of it as well. Family is the most important thing, in my opinion, in terms of how we build our societies. And when we have strong families that can look out for each other, whether that's looking out for kids or older adults, that makes our society better. The reality is there will always be people who prey on other people, sadly. We will never completely eliminate the worst parts of what is part of being human, but we can all work to strengthen and do our best to protect in those situations. And I think it's important that we continue to make sure, especially those criminal activities, and I've seen some of those that are it's just really hard to watch, especially, again, as technology and things change. You know, I think it's very difficult. You know, we've got 1 billion passwords and text messages to tell us what we can log into and what we can't, and just all the things that can be being so complicated. I know people that are my age who have been duped by some of those scams, and they were not as unfamiliar with technology. And so we're in a really difficult time for older adults to navigate as technology changes so quickly. And so I think it's also important, and I know that we you know, all agree and we continue to work on making sure that not only are we protecting those individuals and taking care of them what they needed, but that justice is served, and that we are making sure that those who are going after and preying on our senior citizens are also being brought to justice through the criminal justice system, and we're fighting that crime and fraud that happens in our community as well. So it's a very multifaceted approach, and I think it's important that we continue to do all of that work in conjunction together so that we can do everything we can to protect our community. And I thank you for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Williams.
Well, Well, for those who have been here before, everyone knows I have a story to tell about this, which is why I'm so passionate about this subject. My father, I mentioned him already, he was born in 1929 during the Depression, and they used to have potato soup every night for many, many years, because that was all they could afford. But with enough salt and pepper, the boys all thought it was the best thing in the world. And so he was born a very poor man, became a very, very successful civil engineer in the 60s and 70s and throughout his life. And never a shortage of money in my household growing up. And then when my mom turned about 70, maybe even 65, she got dementia and gave away all of that money, every last bit of it, all their retirement savings, properties they owned. She sold her car. She took out liens on her car. I think my sister said 5 separate times. It was a very traumatic story. So we got her a conservatorship. We did not handle it as well as we should have. But my dad died as poor as he was the day he was born, maybe even poorer. And so I tell this because it's a story of financial abuse. And this happens to many, many people. Now, if you haven't seen what kind of financial abuse happens, I would suggest maybe you watch the first 30 minutes of a movie called The Beekeeper. It's a very violent movie, so you don't have to watch more than 30 minutes. But the premise of that story is not, in my mind, really what happens. The premise is that it's a bunch of American citizens ripping off the elderly, which possibly does happen, but in my case, it was gang members in foreign countries, from Nigeria, Jamaica, all over the world, even Canada, calling my mom and telling her she won the foreign lottery, and she would believe it hook, line, and sinker. And so the only thing she ever wanted her kids to be when they died was billionaires or independently wealthy, and this was the way she was going to get there. So I think you have to be very, very aware of what your parents are doing in their old age. So I've told the story before, and this year I'm trying to tell it in a different way. When it first happened, I would share with some of my friends what had happened, and they said, oh, that would never happen in our family. And years later, they came back and they said, oh, I finally took over my mom and dad's finances. Every check in the checkbook was either a $25 check to a nonprofit locally, and this is not, I love nonprofits, so please know, I think that's wonderful, but also to the Republican Party, the Democrat Party, and any political candidate, because they were terrified if they did not contribute, they would be audited by the Internal Revenue Service. So it was just books on books on books of checkbooks of $25 checks that were going out to different people. So also I had an experience recently where another family member has started down the road of dementia, and one of the first signs is paranoia. Had I realized that, I would have treated her differently last time I saw her, because she accused some of us of stealing money out of her checkbooks. And it was a very traumatic situation. But when I got home and I started researching the signs again, because it's been 20 years since this story happened to me, I realized the road that she's going down. Fortunately, her daughter lives right next door to her. So cherishing our elders is really important. So I will tell one final story of a friend I have. A daughter, one of 7 children, the only one who lived in her community. Her father was dying. One by one, he called every one of his kids, and he asked them to come visit him before he died, and not a one would come visit. And she was the only one, so she took care of him until the day he died. And then about 3 months later, he made all the arrangements beforehand to be cremated and assigned it all to her because no one else would visit. Honestly, I don't know if there was any money involved in this situation. About 3 months later, the oldest brother called and said, okay, we're all ready to come into town, and we're ready to have a funeral for Dad. And she said, oh, that's already been done. He asked you to come visit before he died, and you wouldn't come visit, so he wrote everything out and had me take care of it. So just remember, your parents do want to see you when you get older. They want to hear from you. Just a simple phone call. They don't lose their need to be social. They never do. And I wish that I had both of my parents still alive today just so I could call and talk to them. But I don't. And so take the time today to call your parents and be sure to cherish those adults. I know that there's the traumatic side of elder abuse, but we should also cherish those who are elderly. And I did want to point out one more thing, and then I'll finish. There are some people who've already voted. And that's because I believe last Monday, our clerk and recorder can confirm, they did go out to all of the senior homes and help with the election judges so all of our senior citizens living in homes could vote. Those ballots haven't been counted yet, but they did have the opportunity to vote. And so we consider their right to vote to be one of their most important privileges. So take a moment to consider the right to hear from their kids as one of their most important privileges too. Thanks.
Okay, with that, I think we are ready to proceed with a vote, and we will begin with Commissioner Wysong.
Aye.
Vice Chair Nelson.
Aye.
Commissioner Applegate.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Again, we'll take a brief recess for a photograph. I'll call this meeting back to order, and we are on item 8.
Item number 8 is comments by elected officials and commissioner liaison reports. 8A, 2026 primary election update and key election milestones. Steve Schleicher, clerk and recorder.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, good morning. Steve Schleicher, your clerk and recorder. I think it's an amazing thing as we recognize Flag Day, the birth of the United States Army. And Madam Chair, thanks for acknowledging I being a former Marine. And also talking elder abuse. I think it's a great opportunity as we go in and give you an update as we have an election coming down and talking about our democracy. And Commissioner Williams, thank you so much. So yes, our bipartisan judges did go out and visited over 40 of our healthcare facilities last week. And what we do there is we hand deliver their ballots. And we allow those seniors to cast their ballot with bipartisan judges there, overseeing and assisting and things like that. So it's always very emotional because our seniors feel, they've lost the ability to drive. They lost a lot of their independence, but we here in El Paso County ensure that they don't lose their right to vote. So one thing is I just want to share with you is I want to provide you an update. We are now in a busy time of the June 30th primary election, and also to share with you all is we are also working on our November general election at the same time. So election readiness is our department continues to meet all statutory federal, state, and Secretary of State rules, fully engaged in this election preparedness. So last week, our election staff and assigned bipartisan election judges, we did our logic and accuracy test, which we ran 3,000 Republican ballots through our election system tabulators, 3,000 Democratic ballots through our tabulators. We came up to 100%. And what that also includes is our judges also cast ballots and we hand count. So not only do we match up as far as the machine count, but we also have done the hand count that matches perfectly. If you don't pass a logic and accuracy, we could not have began the mailing of our ballots, which we did yesterday. Yesterday, we were at the USPS facility here on Fountain and Academy, and we basically turned over chain of custody to my office, and we mailed over 491,000 ballots yesterday morning at 8 a.m. At the end of yesterday, as I left out of the office, I looked at our system, because as you know, here in El Paso County, we track every single mail ballot. And right now I am tracking every single ballot all the way down to the precinct level. So when I left yesterday, we were a little bit over 10% of ballots being delivered to our citizens here in El Paso County. As I was leaving the office to come visit you, we are at 47%. So over 250,000 ballots have been delivered. I'm extremely confident that our USPS team members will be out there today, and we should basically be about 75–80% delivered by today, which is amazing. The other thing is yesterday was a deadline for anybody wanting to change their party affiliation. So if anybody wanted to sit there and change their affiliation from unaffiliated to either Democratic or Republican, yesterday was the deadline to do that, so they can no longer do that. Election judge training, we began that last week, and these poor folks have to deal with Steve Schleicher's ongoing jokes. So what we ended up doing is we sat there and we now have judges in there that are manning our phones. We actually have live people that are manning the phones, answering the questions of our voters. We also have front desk greeters, and right now we are training individuals for our in-person vote centers. For this election, as you guys are aware, we expanded voter access. We installed 3 new ballot boxes. One is located up at Green Mountain Falls at their town hall, so we put one up there. We saw a little gap there on Highway 24. Another one is the very first one in Old Colorado City. So we put it off 31st right in the Safeway parking lot right there in Old Colorado City. And the other one is right off of Jet Wing and Academy. So we got 3 new ballot boxes, security cameras, so we have a total of 44 secure ballot drop boxes here in El Paso County. For this election, we're going to have 8 in-person vote centers, and we right now have one that is open, which is the Citizen Service Center in my office. So if anybody wants to come vote in person, they could do that. But over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be opening up 7 additional vote centers. Where to find that is every ballot packet. You will have instructions. You will also have basically the locations of every ballot box drop box and also the 8 in-person vote centers. In addition to that, to make it easy, you can go to our EPC VIP website, put in your address. You will get a Google map to the closest ballot drop box and in-person vote center to your residence. So it's very, very easy. I want to share is this year, this primary is a little bit different. Is we have two parties that are going to be the Libertarian Party and the Unity Party that are having their own primary as well. So they are receiving ballots to participate in their primary. If you're a registered Republican, of course, you're going to get the Republican primary ballot. And if you're a registered Democrat voter, you're going to get the Democratic ballot. However, as we know, we are a semi-open primary state, and we have been doing that for over a decade. If you're unaffiliated, you're going to receive two ballots, one is the Republican and the other one is the Democrat. However, you can only vote and return one. If you vote and return two, and sadly, some folks do that, your vote does not count. So unaffiliated voters, like I shared, may vote either ballot, but not both. And hopefully I'm going to be sitting there over the next month, trying to get that word out there just to share with folks. In closing, our staff continues to work diligently to ensure every eligible voter has the opportunity to participate in a secure, accessible, transparent, and accurate election. One thing I want to share is I was extremely happy as I opened up our elections department and our office to every Democratic candidate that is running for office, either statewide or here locally, and every Republican candidate, and walked through the whole entire process of how we conduct elections here in El Paso County. And the things that we have done collectively, because commissioners, this has been a team. It has been a team between the U.S. commissioners and myself as clerk and recorder of all the changes we have made to ensure the transparency in our elections process. And each one of those candidates have full confidence because they have a vested interest on the ballot in what we are doing here in El Paso County. So with that being said, thank you very much. And are there any questions?
Vice Chair Nelson.
Can you speak to our policy regarding mail-in ballots and the return date, just given what's happening in California and the delay of the election results? They have a different...
Commissioner, that is a very good question, and I got asked the same question by, I was on our radio interview today and got asked that same question. So here in Colorado we do not accept postmarks. In the state of Colorado, your ballot has to be received by 7 p.m. on election night. If it is not received by 7 p.m., it is not accepted. And as many of you know, when I sit there and give you the summary of an election, there are folks that absolutely miss that timeline, and they try to sneak their ballots under our doors. So, you know, basically it's too late. And this is one of the reasons why I ask folks to vote early. And if you remember in 2024, we got 8 inches of snow on election night right after the polls closed, and folks were, you know, voting late and things like that, but we can't accept their ballots. Some states do accept postmarks. And I will share with you is there is basically the Supreme Court heard this case, and it was the state of Mississippi against the Republican National Committee several months ago, and a ruling should be coming out here probably midsummer, late summer. And really what it's in regards to is when should your clerk and recorder accept and count the ballots? So listen to the testimony is I think the Supreme Court is leaning towards how we do it here in the state of Colorado is your ballot has to be received by 7 p.m. on election night. Some states, like I said, receive ballots that are postmarked and they continue counting 2 days, 3 days, a week after election day, which is extremely confusing to a lot of voters. But I think that Supreme Court case is going to be coming down midsummer, as I mentioned, Commissioner, and the impact in Colorado would be zero because we're already complying with that law that your ballot has to be received by 7 p.m. But the impact to other states that allow postmarks going into the general election are going to have to change a lot of things.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Commissioner Applegate.
So I'm sure our wonderful postal service in your office is sending my ballot as we speak, but I usually get mine like on Monday. I checked the mailbox yesterday. I didn't receive mine. Say I go a couple more days, 2 or 3 days, and I don't receive my ballot. What's a good way to reach out to your department to get to see where my ballot's at so I can receive it and I can vote in the primary.
Absolutely. You know, one thing I always recommend to commissioners, everybody sign up for ballot tracks. I got my text message yesterday that my ballot was going to be delivered today, and I live in zip code 80919, so I'm tracking all zip codes and every ballot in every precinct. What I share with everybody is if you do not receive your ballot by next Tuesday, please call our office at 719-575-VOTE, which is 8683, or email us at elections@elpasoco.com. Because what happens is 99% of the time is a ballot will go out and it comes back undeliverable. And the reason for that is, one is our voter did not update their voter registration to let folks know that they moved. And by law is the USPS cannot forward that ballot. They have to deliver it right back to us. So if you do not receive your ballot by next Tuesday, please reach out to us to 719-575-8683 or email us at elections@elpasoco.com and we will get you taken care of.
Commissioner Williams.
I have so many examples, so I'm going to shy away from any examples and just encourage people. It's one vote, one person. If you live in an apartment and you get 5 ballots, one for John Smith, Jane Doe, and 3 other people, just vote the one for yourself. It is wrong to vote any other ballots, and we do. My other example is my daughter changed her signature. And so when Chuck Broerman was the clerk and recorder, she had to actually cure her ballot because her signature had changed. And we were talking, this year we're talking about the liberties we experience because it's been 250 years of our great country. The greatest liberty that you can experience, I believe, is your right to vote. And you should always exercise that. And so when your ballot comes, it's up to you on when you decide or how you decide to turn it in, as long as it's by 7 p.m. So take that liberty and make sure that you vote. Thanks.
Madam Chair, if I could just say one more thing, is historically in a primary election, turnout is very low. We're usually at less than 35% turnout. And as your clerk, I find it extremely troubling that we allow a third of our citizens to dictate who goes on to the general election and filling some of these very important offices, either it be at the federal level, state level, here at the local level. And I think El Paso County could do better than 35%.
Okay, any further comments or questions from commissioners? All right, well, thank you so much for being here today to give us that update. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, are there any other countywide elected officials here who would like to speak? Do not see any, so we will go on over to Commissioner Wysong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last week was a catch-up week for as it was out the previous week. PPACG, both the legislative and just a general workshop. We also had Fountain Creek Watershed District events this week. And also on Friday, the El Paso County Sheriff's Academy 26-1 graduated, which it's always exciting. Got to meet some of the new deputy candidates that are actually going through the next academy, which was pretty fun. This afternoon, Drainage Board meeting. And then I just wanted to follow up for those that are veterans or might be helping a veteran. The Veterans Expo tomorrow, right next door at the Pikes Peak Performing Arts Center, from 9 to 6. There's the morning session and then afternoon session. Stop by. There's going to be all kinds of folks there that can answer questions. If not, we'll be able to research it and get back to folks. And on Thursday, we've got land use, and tomorrow is the park board meeting. So thank you.
Vice Chair Nelson.
Agreed. This is a busy week. Tomorrow I have the Housing Authority meeting, which, as I mentioned earlier, the refurbing a home to help someone age in place kind of falls under that purview of that board. And so really grateful for the volunteers that support that work and just housing in our community. They do a lot of other things, but I won't go into detail at this time. Then also Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority meeting, just making sure that the tax dollars that citizens approved on that ballot initiative are being spent in the way that voters intended. As was mentioned, land use meeting on Thursday morning, and then a community services block grant quarterly meeting Friday afternoon. And that one, we only meet once a quarter, and it's a Friday afternoon, and sometimes that one sneaks up on me a little bit, but grateful for the people that serve on that board as well, with determining how those federal dollars should be invested in our community to improve the workforce and support people to just be able to be self-sustaining. So I'll just leave it at that. Thanks.
Commissioner Applegate.
Thank you. Had that in my league last week, Monday, June 1st through the 3rd, Wednesday. I was out at CCI, so we went up to the Keystone Resort up there, Dillon, Colorado. And on Tuesday, I got to attend a class at 1041 for special land use. And a shout out to Lori Segal, who was actually one of the presenters who works in our legal office. So did quite well. I sat in a couple other classes. I heard some stuff about the rural and different things about like water. And I got to talk to other rural commissioners from rural counties. So, and I think we are blessed here that we're not seeing some of the problems that they're seeing. And so we really do live in a good community, and we have just great businesses that are thriving here in the area. So I really do. And it was good seeing some of my fellow commissioners. So I'm talking with them across the state. So that's all I have.
Commissioner Williams.
I attended the Colorado County's meetings last week, including the Monday meetings, which are all of the Department of Human Services committees. We discussed the child welfare allocation formula. I was the only no vote amongst a committee of 10 or so, because there are 11 large counties, each which gets their own allocation, of which they have to cover their whole entire county. And then there are the other counties which they lump together in a group called Balance of State. So that would be 63 counties that are small counties, and we've tried for years to come up with a fair and equitable formula. The formula still doesn't include any population modifiers, which is discouraging because we have the largest population. And so I voted no primarily because of that. I understand the need to keep the smaller counties. They came up with a formula that we didn't stand a chance on, which made sure that all of the smaller counties had enough money to do their jobs and treated them equitably, but didn't account for El Paso County's growing population. And with a growing population will come more child welfare cases. And so we had that issue and still are not at a point where I feel the formula is fair towards El Paso County, but I lost. I think it was a 9-1 vote. And so it's hard to beat 63 counties on a vote such as that, even when the other large counties won't vote with you. And then we also discussed a program that really needs to be addressed when there are kids in the foster system. Yes, they do need help getting out of the foster care system. They do need help, but right now they're just being given a benefit, and they can essentially live at home in an apartment somewhere for 3 years without even having any job requirements, reporting requirements, or anything to the Department of Human Services. And I don't think that we are helping these kids out by not even requiring them to go and do some vocational training or some type of training, but just to pay for them to live in an apartment anywhere in the state so they can be living in Castilla County, which traditionally has been one of the poorest counties in the state, and moved to El Paso County. And we then pay for them to live in an apartment for 3 years until they're age 21 without any reporting requirements. And then the day they turn 21, we throw them out on the streets. And so to have a program, and it's foster youth in transition, that doesn't have any requirements to it at all, is just really dumb legislation. And I'm not exactly sure how the state came up with this. Well, I do know, but dumb legislation. Foster Youth in Transition is a well-intentioned program with no requirements. And so to just give kids 4 monies from age 18 to 21 because they have been in the foster system is, it's nice, well-intentioned to give them the support they need, but to have no requirements coming out of it so that they don't learn the basic responsibilities of adulthood. It's just a very poorly designed program. And I think most of the DHS directors in the state completely agree with that. And so it's a legislative issue that we need to tackle. All right, I've been on my soapbox today, so I'll tell you what's on my calendar. I've got Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments, Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority tomorrow. Please be very, very careful this year with your fireworks. Thursday, June 11th, this is the day, June 11th is the day the Black Forest Fire started in 2014. So please remember, we are having a very dry year until we get El Nino back. Be very careful with your fireworks displays and anything on the roads. And then there is an elder abuse awareness event on Friday morning that I am going to. And those are my primary big events other than our land use on Thursday. Thank you.
Okay, much of what I would share has been covered, so great job of being thorough on that. So I will just add that as summer is upon us, I was reading an article yesterday about how jobs for teens are almost non-existent anymore. It's really hard for teenagers to get a job. Which is unfortunate. So the statistic, which was a bit concerning to me, was that in the 70s, 60% of 16 to 19-year-olds were either already had a job or were looking for one. This year, it's 33.8. That's a huge drop, and maybe there's a little bit of parallelism here to some of Commissioner Williams' comments, but that's concerning to me because I think we need to help our young people get jobs, learn what it means to be responsible. And so I'm just going to encourage you all, maybe rather than calling that landscaping company, maybe just hire your local teenager in the neighborhood. We want all businesses to thrive, but it's an area right now where teens are really struggling. I know that more and more businesses are requiring you to be 18 to get a job. That makes a challenge. And on top of that, there are so many employment regulations. We probably have the worst, I'm just going to say worst employment regulations in the entire United States here in Colorado, which makes it more and more difficult for employers to hire our young people. So just consider how you might be able to help a young person build their work ethic beginning in their teenage years, because it is certainly that time of year, and we are seeing a lagging in them being able to find those opportunities. So that's all I have to share this morning. And I believe we are ready to move to item 9.
Item number 9 is Community Service Organization Reports. 9A, Colorado Springs Sports Corp Report. Megan Latham, President and CEO, Colorado Springs Sports Corp., and Davis Tutt, Senior Director of Sports Tourism and Olympic Engagement, Colorado Springs Sports Corp.
Good morning, County Commissioners. How are you all doing today? Hopefully well. Megan's going to be passing out our annual reports as I start to go through. Really just wanted to give you all a 2025 annual report. Obviously it's June, but we'll look at 2025 and then also look at some of the things that we have been doing here in 2026. Look at the impact of 2025, particularly in the sports tourism realm, and then go over some, like I said, some of the things that we're looking forward to in the future. So Most of you know who we are and what we do, but just a little refresher. Colorado Springs Sports Corporation, we exist to inspire and advance Colorado Springs, Olympic City, USA, and the Pikes Peak region through sport and community events. And so we do this through a couple of different pillars, which I will get into. Our pillars are first, the Olympic and Paralympic movement. Our organization was founded in 1978 as the entity that moved the US OC at that point from New York City to Colorado Springs. And ever since then, we've played a key role in continuing to grow and foster the Olympic and Paralympic movement here in the city. Next is sports tourism. Sports tourism, which is kind of where I come in, is we serve as the sports commission for the city of Colorado Springs. So our job is to go out and find national championships, youth sports events, anything that is going to bring people to Colorado Springs and El Paso County through the lens of sports. Event management, that's how most people know us probably in this community. I'll get to the next slide, which is all of our different events. And the last is community sports programming, where we put on some after-school sports programming in partnership with District 11. So on our event side, we have a number of events that we would say this community knows and loves. You can see everything from Colorado Springs Labor Day Liftoff to Pikes Peak Air Show, Colorado Senior Games, which just took place this past weekend. So given the conversation so far this morning, having a great ability for the seniors in our community to still compete at whatever age they are. I think, Megan, do we have a 90-year-old pole vaulter or 100-yard dash? So even till 93, you can still be competing competitively in this area. So those are our partner events, which we work with a partner organization to make successful. And then we have our signature events. These are the events that we own and operate just within the Sports Corp. And so this year, obviously, we had the Downtown Winterfest, given that it was 2026. But then other events such as the Rocky Mountain State Games, Colorado Springs Sports Hall of Fame, and then the newest event that we added to our list last year in December was the Pikes Peak Sports Economy Report, which I will talk about in a bit. Of note, in 2025, El Paso County was a supporter of Colorado Springs Labor Day Liftoff and Rocky Mountain State Games. So looking a little bit of the Olympic and Paralympic movement and then our sports tourism pillar, because I feel like that's something that I talk to Colorado Springs City Council a lot, but I don't necessarily talk to and present to you all about of the work that we do to get groups and organizations and events to come to Colorado Springs. So on the Olympic and Paralympic movement, really ever since 1979, we continue to expand and support both the Olympic and Paralympic movement here in Colorado Springs. So if there is a national governing body that is looking to relocate, we will take the lead on that relocation bid. If there are business needs that these organizations need in our community, whether it's office moves, it is they're looking for various shared services, storage facilities, we are the organization that help them get these things that they need. And then on the sports tourism side, sports tourism is becoming a very competitive landscape where cities and counties and states are starting to build major incentive programs because they realize the benefit of sports tourism. Sports tourism is one of those where wherever your child's baseball team says your tournament is here this weekend, chances are you're probably going to be there that weekend. And so Colorado Springs, we've been growing a lot in the facilities, whether it's within the city limits or it's within the county over the last number of years, but we still have a lot to go to. And so just to kind of give a little bit of an idea of how we secure events, things like in December, the NCAA Division II Men's and Women's Soccer National Championships were right here at Widener Field. We meet these various groups and get the opportunities to bid on these through some conference attendance. So Sports ETA is our trade association for sports commissions. And essentially what it is it's speed dating. It's 5-minute meetings with me as a city representative and then with organizations that are hosting events. And so it's 50 meetings over the course of 3 days where is this going to work? Is it not going to work? And then we can bring these people to our city if we think it makes sense. We also, under our sports tourism realm, we operate what's called the Sports Facility Database. So it's a database of all sports facilities within the Colorado Springs and in El Paso County, so that if anybody is in need of a sport facility, they can come to us. And we can assist with that. Really what we do is we try to serve as the conduit for all things sport within Colorado Springs. So looking back at 2025 on the sports tourism side, it was a huge year for sports tourism. While 2025 nationally tourism trends were down, sports tourism is really one of the only verticals in general tourism that is consistently growing year over year, and that's because of the resources that cities and states and counties are putting in. And so last year we were lucky enough to host a number of different major events, whether it was U.S. Figure Skating and their Synchronized Skating National Championships, USA Weightlifting hosting their national championships. There's obviously a lot of talk with the U.S. Senior Open as a major USGA championship at the Broadmoor. But then we had one that was very near and dear to the Sports Corp was the Department of Defense Warrior Games. And this took over Colorado College for 10 days. And the Warrior Games were last in Colorado Springs in 2018. And we wanted to go out and get this event because we realized it's a huge economic driver, probably the largest single lodgers and automobile rental tax or LART tax revenue generating event during the calendar year last year, just purely because of the quantity of family and athletes and support staff that came to Colorado Springs. And it was 10 days long, so that also helps. Small text. I'll skip through this, but these are all of the events that the Sports Corp sports tourism side of our business had a hand in either bringing to the city of Colorado Springs or supporting in whether it's through a financial incentive or it's through shared resources in 2025. And I know that Brett and Ryan have this presentation, so if you want to take a full look at it, you can take a look after this. But just looking at purely at the numbers, I mentioned that a lot of tourism is in decrease, but we're really making an effort to go after events that are quality, but also bring significant quantity. I think in the past we went of who's just going to be the greatest number of people, but the greatest number of people doesn't always translate into the greatest hotel room night generation, which is typically going to be the greatest impact when it comes to economic impact. And so of the 54 events we endorsed or had a hand in 2025, you can see there was a decrease in athletes, but a major increase in spectators. That was primarily due to Warrior Games. There are fewer athletes, but significantly more spectators. But we had a huge number of increase, obviously 45% from 2024 of hotel room nights generated. And so for 2026, we are running full force. We're getting into a very busy summer. And so we're excited to discuss some of the other events that we're going to be bringing here in the summer. I did mention the last event that we hosted in 2025 was the first time that we ever created what's called the Pikes Peak Sports Economy Report. And the reason we created this was we kept getting asked, what is the economic impact of the sports sector of Colorado Springs? And so in partnership with the UCCS College of Business, we created the inaugural Sports Economy Report. And we really wanted it to be a defensible number. We know that this $280 million annually in economic impact is low. There were organizations that we know that they want to participate in year two. They basically wanted to see that we were for real in year one. And so we're excited to have the second annual economic impact report, which will be also in December. And we would love to have any of you there to see the report. So really what it was great about UCCS too is they brought in a lot of their skill in helping say, all right, here's the impact, and then here's what the city and the county can do to help increase this. And so if you do read the report, it's 60 some odd pages. We'll make sure it's sent to you all afterwards. It gives a lot of really good points of where various government entities and agencies can come in to help continue to promote this. And one of which is in continuous sport facility development in Colorado Springs and in El Paso County. And so for the last about year and a half, Colorado Springs Sports Corporation, along with a number of different developers and supporters here in Colorado Springs, have realized the need for additional sports facilities. Not only do sports facilities aid in economic development and tax-based growth, but we also just have a critical shortage of playing fields here in Colorado Springs. And so with our regional identity and competitive positioning, we feel that with the growth of something like the Sports Ranch, we can really put ourselves as at the forefront of sports tourism, even more so than what we currently are. And so we look forward to continuing to have conversations with you about the growth of sports facilities here in Colorado Springs in the near future. Anything to add? No, we're good on that. So looking at 2026, lots of events. Already this year, we have really jumped off the ground early in what we call the shoulder season, because when, in February and March, when hotels in the city and county aren't filled as much, we want the people in there. So in early March, USA Boxing hosted their Women's National Championships. And then right after that, the World Association of Kickboxing Organizations hosted their national championships. And then one of the areas that we really focused on in 2026 is the growth of Paralympic sport and the opportunities around Paralympic sport. And so through the National Wheelchair Basketball Association, we hosted their women's and military national championships here in April. And then probably one of the ones that I personally am most excited about is USA Pickleball, which is the official governing body for pickleball. They already host their Golden Ticket, which is one of 3 national qualifiers. You have to go through a Golden Ticket if you want to qualify for their national championships. They are going to be hosting their inaugural wheelchair national championships on the front end of the Golden Ticket here in Colorado Springs. And so really solidifying Colorado Springs once again as that adaptive sport Paralympic location that is supportive and gets behind these athletes no matter what sport they're playing in. Later in the year, you will also see the U.S. Association of Blind Athletes. For the last 2 years, we have been working with them on a capital campaign to build a permanent blind soccer pitch in partnership with the Colorado School for the Deaf and Blind. And so USABA is making Colorado Springs the national home for blind soccer. If you ever get an opportunity to just YouTube or Google blind soccer, it's one of the most incredible Paralympic sports. 5-on-5, everybody is fully blind and they are running around and they know where the ball is because there's a bell on the inside of the soccer ball. And so the communication that these athletes have, it's something incredible to see. And so we'll make sure that you all are aware of when they do the groundbreaking and eventually the opening of the soccer pitch, because there's only 2 permanent blind soccer pitches in the country. So really making sure that Colorado Springs is on the forefront of this. In 2026, we also continue to push to host as many Colorado State High School state championships as possible. A number of these take place in venues such as Robeson Arena or Widener Field, but also the boys volleyball state championships is down in Fountain Fort Carson in county. And so we selfishly in Colorado Springs just want to take as many of these from Denver as possible. I think because CHASA's up in Denver, their default is always, all right, yeah, we're just going to have state championships in Denver, and it shouldn't be that way. So we could put in competitive bids, get competitive pricing to make sure that these families and athletes from all around the state are seeing Colorado Springs and not just downtown Denver for their state championships. So just wrapping it up, this is all of our events so far, or for our internal events for 2026. We look forward to welcoming you all to any of the events that you would like to. I know we see a lot of you up at Labor Day Liftoff, as well as Pikes Peak Regional Air Show. Those are probably our 2 biggest events that we put on every year. But then I mentioned the Pikes Peak Sports Economy Report, December 9th. That's one that we're super excited about. And sorry about the formatting that all those words kind of got a little jumbled on here, but you get the point. It's October or December. So yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm happy to take any questions, and Megan's here to take questions as well.
Okay, any questions from commissioners? Okay, Commissioner Williams.
Actually, as a 30-year resident of Briargate area in El Paso County, I'm really excited to see this pickleball court activity at the Chapel Hills Mall. It's a great facility. They have an aquarium now too for kids. I don't know what the cost is, but just love the fact that that's revitalized that mall right there, along with their noisy motorcycle course. So I live close to that, so I know what the motorcycles are doing, but on Friday and Saturday night. But it's nice to see that area just totally regenerated by this pickleball movement. It's great. And I guess I'll have to learn how to play pickleball. I used to be a tennis player, so thank
They would
you.
love to have you. Yeah, that facility is a great reuse of a space that was not being used. So, and I'll just add that on the wheelchair side, the idea of the wheelchair national championships came from Scott, who's the head of Peak Pickleball, and he convinced USA Pickleball that they need to do this and really level up their Paralympic side, because I think pickleball has Olympic aspirations, and when that happens, you should also have Paralympic aspirations. So.
Okay, other questions or comments from commissioners? All right, well, thank you so much for being here. I will just add that it's encouraging to see that you are looking for additional ways to provide playing fields, and I think that that is important for the professional and tourism side, but we won't have players if our kids don't have places to play as well. And I know that there have been several different needs in the area. I think I've probably said this before, but my kids used to be swimmers and are no longer swimmers, but we live on the east side of the county and there are no pools. So we continue to struggle with trying to find ways to get our kids to have the ability and the resources to be able to and just go and play sports and participate. So appreciate your attentiveness to that as well.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Okay, item 10.
Item number 10 is public comment on items not scheduled on the agenda. The commissioners welcome communication in various forms. However, the public comment period is not intended for dialogue, and commissioners do not engage in conversation during this time. Members of the public seeking responses to specific questions are encouraged to submit inquiries through Citizen Connect. And Madam Chair, I'm aware of several people signing in to speak today.
Okay, I would invite you to come on down, and the protocol here is that you will state your name for the record. Make sure if you haven't already signed in that you do, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Lynette Persetta. Good morning, Commissioners. I remain worried about the future of Beacon Light Road. Beacon Light Road has been engineered, designed, and developed to accommodate 200 to 400 cars per day as a rural connector, with projections of 1,000 cars with no mention of commercial trucks per day in 10 years. These numbers are nowhere near the exceeded 15 to 20,000 cars per day and heavy commercial vehicles weighing between 60 and 80,000 pounds that could use the road, as it is a public road, not private. I realize everyone present wants I-25 to be used, but with ever-present gridlock on the highway, people look for other paths. I'm just tossing out ideas today because somehow Beacon Light has to be safe. If something terrible happens along this stretch of road from County Line to 105, I believe some attorney's going to have a field day easily proving gross negligence, especially in an accident involving a commercial truck. The county has recently given the town a monument by annexation, Beacon Light, up to the town's water tank. I guess Monument needs to seriously consider whether the current roadway plan is appropriate. If the road design grossly exceeds the rural design, I fear Monument can petition the state and pursue a Rule 106 action in Colorado District Court. If so, a judge could then review and potentially overturn the county planning department's administrative approval of boundary line adjustments. If that were to happen, the county is again stuck with this entire mess. Could Monument abandon their portion of Beacon Light back to the state if the town does not have the money to match the road to the traffic? Could the county possibly give Beacon Light Road in its entirety to Monument, and then Monument would have to accept full responsibility, relieving the county of this problem? Could all involved give the road in its entirety to the developer, thereby eliminating the public nature of the road and instead make the entire road private to Highway 105? After all, it is the developer that is responsible for changing the dynamics of the road use. Please keep in mind, we as residents have no other safe options on the west side of the proposed developed area. Would Monument have the option to decline the road handoff? If that happens, would responsibility fall back to the county and the developers? The original Beacon Light project was for local residents' safety and engineered as such. This is important because Beacon Light is a way for local residents to get into town if there's any type of emergency, including the train breaking down or area fire. What standard of road did the county guarantee Monument? Which other state entities could have a performance claim if those standards do not match? Could the town of Monument argue that the county must build the road to the standard and stresses of the now known commercial use of Beacon Light? Can we install LPR readers with a sign that says El Paso County residents use only, with the word strictly enforced? I hope you as commissioners have much better ideas than mine. By not doing anything, I fear the county will be exposed to willful neglect charges or even criminal charges for knowing Beacon Light Road is not certified to major arterial standards. Maybe the best idea is to abandon the road and let the state work with the developer to pull this project together. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda?
Phil Procetta. Commissioners, El Paso County has a serious problem in northern El Paso County. We have no frontage road for safety, no west side arterial, no parallel relief route, and one single choke point interchange expected to absorb 15 to 20,000 vehicles a day, not counting delivery trucks and 60 to 80,000 pound fuel tankers. This is a legal crisis waiting to happen. After the 2024 developer-funded Terracon report publicly revealed the true scale and intent of the project, everything changed. That report made earlier non-disclosure agreements irrelevant. The county could no longer claim it didn't know what was coming. So why did the county plow ahead with its old Beacon Light plan, knowing full well that the assumptions behind it were now obsolete? Why didn't the county stop, reassess, and redesign Beacon Light as the major arterial road the situation clearly demands? We were repeatedly told at town meetings by the developer they had the money to fix the road issues. However, legally they can't. It turns out a Colorado developer can do minor improvements, but they cannot be forced to build a new arterial road. CDOT never initiated a redesign of the interchange, meaning the county had no authority to expand ramps, add a frontage road, or build a west side arterial we desperately need in case of a wildfire or other disaster. Why did the county rely on the developer's traffic impact study? Was the county afraid of being sued if it denied the project? It seems ironic that both the developer and the taxpayer might be able to sue the county for the same grounds, nexus and rough proportionality. The difference is that the taxpayers trusted our representatives to protect public safety by ensuring roads match the scale of commercial development. That is your sworn duty. Yet the 2019 Pinion study for the lower end of Beacon Light never evaluated the road as a potential major arterial. Did the town of Monument, which later annexed the lower portion of Beacon Light, even know what the geotechnical report stated? I understand Colorado caveat emptor rule, but these are your constituents' lives. Why didn't the county simply say, we want your business, but we cannot afford to do this correctly right now? If residents can save for what they can't afford, why can't the county? The public would have respected that honesty and stewardship. And here is the strangest part. CDOT built a commercial level bridge, a bridge that was not in the original 2018 GAP project. At the time, CDOT said they didn't have money and the public understood. But suddenly in 2019, both PPRTA and CDOT found the money for a commercial bridge, yet no money for the arterial road and bridge it was clearly built to serve. These are not small questions. These are fundamental issues of planning and transparency and public safety. And until they are answered, the public cannot have confidence that this project or this process has been handled responsibly. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda today? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to item 11.
Item number 11 is the called up consent calendar, and there are no items called up.
Item 12.
Item number 12 is department and committee reports, non-action items. 12A, El Paso County Fair presentation. Crystal Latier, Executive Director, Economic Development Department. Kate Johnson, Fair Queen Coordinator, and Kaylee Andrew, 2026 El Paso County Fair Queen.
All right, perfect. Good morning, Commissioners. Crystal Latier, Executive Director of Economic Development here at El Paso County. As you all know, I've had the pleasure of, in the interim, supporting the fantastic Parks and Fair staff, many of whom are in the audience today. So just wanted to say thank you for all of their great work that goes into putting on the fair each year. And so, as you know, today we are here to discuss what we call our pre-fair report. And what we really mean by that is this is just an opportunity for us to share a little bit of background about the fair and all the planning that's going in to this great event that is scheduled to happen here in July. After the fair, this board and commission also hears a post-fair report. And that post-fair report, I would say it's a bit more robust. You'll also hear from some of our community partners and groups that we work with to execute the fair. So today is just a glimpse into the planning work that has happened. So as you will see on the screen in front of you, and very aligned with comments we've heard earlier today at today's meeting, this year's fair theme is United We Celebrate, which really recognizes two significant milestones, America's 250th anniversary and Colorado's 150th anniversary. This theme for the fair also provides us an opportunity to connect agricultural roots, local history, youth development programs, and community traditions into one cohesive fair experience this year out in Calhan. So today's high-level presentation, you'll hear a bit about our sponsorships, attendance, marketing, upcoming programming, community engagement, as well as youth development outcomes, which are very important for this activity.
As America turns 250 and Colorado turns 150, we celebrate the moments that made us at the El Paso County Fair with title sponsor Tallgrass, presented by Ed Green Construction. From homesteads and harvests to rodeos, live entertainment, carnival fun, and family memories, our Western heritage comes alive. United, we celebrate. Join us July 11th through the 18th in Calhan. Learn more at elpasocountyfair.com.
Right, so that is just a glimpse of what you will hear also in the report. And so if I could ask for the presentation, please. Okay.
As
We'll scroll down instead. Good, thank you. All right, so obviously this framework really sets for the programming across the fair. We've talked about how visitors will have the opportunity to really engage in interactive displays, storytelling opportunities, and historical experiences that connect national, state, and local history, all tying back to those agricultural roots here at El Paso County. As I mentioned earlier, we'll talk a little bit about sponsorships here. And so sponsorships continue to be a significant strength of our fair program. As you will note, we currently have more than 45 businesses and organizations throughout the region that really participate in the fair. In 2026, the team has secured more than $108,000 in cash sponsorships and over $140,000 in-kind sponsorships. As you will note, this is really important because this allows us to enhance programming while reducing the reliance on county resources. So a really important component of that. When we're looking at those sponsorships, what I want to highlight is the great work that happens through that team at the El Paso County Fairgrounds. And so you'll really see some great metrics here, and I think these metrics really showcase both the strength and the sustainability of the program that's been built at the fair. So you'll see that they've achieved a 91% sponsor retention rate, with 42 of the 46 sponsors renewing for 2026. And why this is so important is it really reflects the outcomes and how they're aligned with county values. For instance, these service-focused partnerships improve the visitor experience. There's accountability through our consistent value delivery of what comes out of the fair. There's trustworthiness through our long-term relationships, and then there's transparency through a clear sponsorship structure. We also want to highlight all of the great work that happens from a revenue standpoint, as well as the attendance that happens. So at El Paso County Fair, we typically see over 30,000 visitors each year. And so that's great attendance rate, great engagement through the county that is happening. So as you can see, we've continued to keep those trends of over 30,000 of year visitors. We've intentionally avoided any admission price increases, and we make sure that all can access the fair. So that access remains a priority through free and discounted admission days, including Military Day, El Paso County Day, Dollar Day, Senior Day, Heroes Day, and Give and Gather Day. The promotions help ensure that the fair remains accessible to a broad cross-section of our community. Additionally, as we continue to promote the upcoming fair, happening July 11th through 18th, we ensure that we use data-driven decisions when we're looking at how to handle those promotion strategies. So you'll see marketing and efforts are guided by data and focused on maximizing the return on our investment. This approach allows us to reach many different audiences with thoughtful approaches on how marketing dollars will be used. Our objective is to simply increase awareness, drive attendance, and ensure residents throughout the county know about the opportunities that are available to them at the fair. So you'll see here some statistics. I want to give a shout out to the communications office, specifically Amy Jo Fields, who for many years has worked very diligently on this effort that's, I know, very near and dear to her heart. But you'll see that 63.7 million in brand impressions from 2025. So that's very, very exciting numbers for us to continue to look at. And as we've highlighted, yes, the fair does happen out in the Great Eastern Plains of El Paso County, but we want to make sure that we're very intentional and strategic about the marketing efforts. So you'll see here just some of the promotion strategies that are happening across our 2,000 square miles and across all 5 county commissioner districts. So again, this county-wide approach helps residents from every commissioner district have the opportunity to learn about and participate in the fair. I'm hoping that you're starting to hear and see some of those things in your respective districts. Those are done through many channels here across the region: news and media, posters, television, radio, social media, digital. So again, thank you to all of our partners in the media sector who continue to put out the great word about things happening at the fair. As we turn our sights a bit to the programming, I wanted to highlight some of the items that are maybe a little bit unique this year. We'll all have all the great programming that you have come to know and love at the fair, but also we've highlighted already that 250-150 experience that will be happening. Additionally, we have those 4-H components, which are really core to what's happening at the fairgrounds and in all those great barns. And a new component this year is a program known as Everyday Ag, which is a great program that will really allow residents to connect and understand with how agriculture impacts their daily life. And of course, with your fair ticket comes a lot of great free daily entertainment. You'll see some of that highlighted here, so don't forget about all those great shows. I might have to try the Pork Chop Review Comedy Pig Show. And again, we've talked about earlier how important it is to have a village that helps put on this fair, and what a village we have here at El Paso County. So just wanted to highlight again all of the great different aspects of community groups that help with the fair. We've highlighted staff, but I also wanted to take a moment to call out the Fair Advisory Board. You have your chair and members of that board here in the audience today. Fantastic advisory board that not only helps advise on how that fair and implementation happens, but also volunteer countless hours that week of the fair. So as you all know, we have many fabulous boards and commissions throughout El Paso County, and the Fair Advisory Board is just another one of those. And so I want to say thank you for all of their engagement through the fair as well. In addition to that, we do have a lot of internal El Paso County department engagement supporting the fair. So you'll see some of those offices noted below. one item to keep in mind is this year we've started a new initiative known as the Fair Ambassador Team. And what's great about this Fair Ambassador Team is we have about 25 volunteers from across various El Paso County departments that are volunteering their time to really act as an ambassador or concierge services at the fair, supporting the fair staff, but really supporting those who come to the fair to share about the great experience they can have, answer questions, direct. And so I wanted to highlight, there's a member of that Fair Ambassador team in the audience as well, but 25 volunteers across various departments that are stepping up and understand that this event, which brings in 30,000 visitors each year, is our signature event of the year. It allows us to be ambassadors into the community. And so thank you to all of those departments that are kind of stepping up to support the fair in a new way this year. There's also ways for the community to continue to engage. One of those is, you hear me use this word volunteer a lot. We rely heavily on our volunteers, and if you are a community member looking to volunteer, please visit the fair's website. There's ways for everyday residents to really come out and experience and be part of this great tradition and volunteer. But there's also another great program this year where you can really submit your moments for a special feature on county social channels. And so when we're saying submit a special moment, we're looking for those special moments really tied to this year's theme, the 250-150. And then, of course, we wanted to make sure that we highlight the great youth development and agricultural work happening at the fair. And so in addition to the Colorado State University Extension, our 4-H partner, and the FFA programs, there's also the El Paso County Junior Livestock Sale happening. And so we wanted to highlight, and this is just a quick snapshot so you can see here, all of the great and measurable impact of our youth and educational programs happening at this coming fair. In 2025, so these are last year's numbers, 273 exhibitors submitted nearly 1,600 entries and exhibited more than 650 animals. There's an opportunity during our Fair Advisory Board meetings where we hear directly from 4-H staff and their programming, and I think what I've been most encouraged about is just to continually hear the constant increase that they're seeing in these programs, which I think is fantastic. I think one of the figures we heard, even in 2026, they've seen an increase of nearly 25% in youth that are signing up and participating in these types of activities, which are really the heart of our fair, and we're excited for those to continue to be showcased at the fair this year. All right. Now, without further ado, this is the lady of the hour that I think we all are hoping to hear from, not me. But I would love the opportunity to introduce our Fair Queen Coordinator, Kate Johnson, who will then take a minute to share a bit about the program and introduce the 2026 El Paso County Fair Queen.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Kate Johnson, the El Paso County Fair Queen Coordinator. Since 1951, the El Paso County Fair Queen has not only provided the fair an ambassador and marketing program, but it's also given young women in our community growth and career development opportunities. I've had the privilege of working with now 6 young ladies, and I want to thank the county for your support and guidance. I'll now introduce our 2026 Queen. Kaylee Andrew is the 17-year-old daughter of Diane Andrew of Elbert, Colorado. She is a recent graduate of Falcon High School. Kaylee was an active member in her FFA chapter where she served as secretary. In school, she also played volleyball and was a member of NHS. She's been riding horses since she was 5 and is well-versed in jumping, cross-country, dressage, barrel racing, and was a member of the Pikes Peak Green Dreads. So here's Kaylee.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time, and thank you for allowing me to do my speech here today. And without further ado, I'll get started. Friends, neighbors in El Paso County, get ready to celebrate heritage, community, and a whole lot of fun at the 2026 El Paso County Fair. We're United We Celebrate July 11th through the 18th in Callahan, Colorado. Hi, y'all. My name is Kaylee Andrew, and I'm proud to be the 2026 El Paso County Fair Queen. For generations, the El Paso County Fair has been the heart of our community. a place where memories are made, traditions are passed down, and neighbors have become family. But this year, it means even more. We're not just celebrating another week of dirt races, rodeos, and carnival lights, we're celebrating our history and future. 2026 is a monumental year. Colorado turns 150, and America celebrates 250 years of freedom. And right here in El Paso County, we get to be a part of that story. That's why this year's theme is United We Celebrate. Because no matter where we come from or how we got here, this is our moment to come together as a community, as a county, and to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. And that is something worth celebrating. Each day we will have exciting themes with amazing deals, starting Saturday, July 11th with Military Appreciation Day, with free admission to all military personnel and their dependents. Sunday is Western Heritage Day with loads of Western events, including our CPRA Rodeo. Monday, July 13th is El Paso County Day, meaning free admission for all. Tuesday is Senior and Sensory Day, $3 off admission to anyone 55 and older. Wednesday, July 15th is Dollar Day. Yep, everyone gets in for just $1. Thursday is Give and Gather Day, where you can receive $2 off at the gate if you donate a non-perishable item. Friday is Ag Day, where we celebrate all things agriculture, and closing out our week, we have Heroes Day. Police, EMS, firefighters, and educators can receive $2 off fair admission. Our week also closes out with our junior livestock sale and the ever-popular Demolition Derby. The 121st El Paso County Fair is going to be bigger and better than ever, with special exhibits that highlight Colorado's journey and America's story. Daily entertainment will include Pork Chop Review with adorable performing pigs, a Wild West stunt show, Gold Rush and grain games, and the Adventure Zone, where you can splash into summer. Don't forget to check out our 4-H and FFA exhibits supporting the future of El Paso County's agriculture. Visit elpasocountyfair.com to purchase tickets and check out our golden ticket option. It includes admission to all 8 days of the fair, plus prime seating to all of our ticketed events. 2 nights of auto races, our CPRA Rodeo, Rough Stock Rodeo, and of course the Demolition Derby. So, help us make history and mark your calendars. The 121st El Paso County Fair is more than just a fair. It's a celebration of our past, present, and future. You won't want to miss it. July 11th through the 18th in Callahan, Colorado. I hope to see all of you there. Thank you.
Right, and I believe we already saw the video or the commercial, but we can take a look at that again in just a minute if you'd like. And I failed to mention that I wanted to also give a shout out to the team that worked so robustly on the sponsorships this year, and that we, for the very first time in El Paso County Fair history, have a title sponsor. So Tallgrass is a title sponsor, the highest level of sponsorship that we have structured here at El Paso County Fair. So again, I think that's just a testament to the great work that happens, the great community event that happens in Callahan. So thanks to the team working on that. And I think now's time for the commercial. If we could, please.
As America turns 250 and Colorado turns 150, we celebrate the moments that made us at the El Paso County Fair with title sponsor Tallgrass, presented by Ed Green Construction. From homesteads and harvests to rodeos, live entertainment, carnival fun, and family memories, our Western heritage comes alive. United, we celebrate. Join us July 11th through the 18th in Callahan. Learn more at elpasocountyfair.com.
Great. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions or comments from commissioners this time? Commissioner Applegate.
I just want to say thank you, gals, for showing up. I appreciate it. Thanks for the presentation. Thanks for all the information. And thanks for all your hard work on this. So,
Yeah, I'll just add, I'm looking forward to the fair, as I always do. Really appreciate all the hard work that has gone in and really making it a special year with celebrating America's 250th and Colorado's 150th. So look forward to seeing you all out there and enjoying all of the festivities. Thank you so much. Okay, so normally we would probably get a photograph, but we are very quickly going to be finished with this and move to our executive session. So if you guys just want to hang tight for a few minutes, we'll get through that quickly, and then we can get a photograph. Item 13.
Item number 13 is the addendum, and there are no addendums today.
Item 14.
Item number 14 is the executive session. 14A, executive session pursuant to CRS 246402 4B and E to confer with legal counsel for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions and to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, develop strategy for negotiations, and instruct negotiators with respect to the statutory property acquisition process. Kenneth Hodges, County Attorney, and Lori Sego, Senior County Attorney. And 14B, request for executive session pursuant to 246402 4B and E for the purpose of holding a conference with the County Attorney's Office to receive legal advice on specific legal questions and determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators regarding the litigation known as Meadow Lake Airport Association versus Daniel S. Ferguson in El Paso County District Court Case Number 2025 CV 32624, and its interplay with El Paso County Land Development Code. Kenneth Hodges, County Attorney, and Nathan Whitney, First Assistant County Attorney.
Okay, do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll call the roll. Commissioner Weissong.
Aye.
Vice Chair Nelson.
Aye.
Commissioner Applegate.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. We are in executive session.